Senator Gorton set out in his remarks the challenges of divvying up every dollar between fixing what you've already got, building new, or finding alternatives. And it seems to me, Mayor, that St. Paul has been right on the horns of that one. And what do you see as the first job in crafting a new approach?
Well, I think there's a lot of different issues that have to be laid on the table at the same time. It is about taking the pot that you already have existing and really defining what are the most important ways that you can spend it. Stop isolating certain pools of money to say these can only be used for roads, this can only be used for certain modes of transportation, and to say that you have some flexibility within the pool of resources that you have to create and adapt your transit and transportation systems to the local needs. We are acutely aware of the transportation challenges in this community, not only because of the bridge collapse that took place less than a half a mile from where we sit today, but also because of the struggles that we have fought for years to try to develop a more kind of well-defined transportation network. I have fought really, and long before I came along, people have been fighting for over 3 decades to get a light rail transit line into the city of St. Paul. It has been 7 years since the last line was constructed in Minneapolis from the airport to downtown Minneapolis. The idea that you are going to spend a decade building one line and then another line another decade later is not the way to build a transportation network. But there's very clear indications that that's what people want. Especially in the era of $4 a gallon gasoline, people don't want to have to live 30 or 40 or 50 miles from their workplace. So there is a migration back into the inner cities, which I think will strengthen us, but we have to have the transportation network, both in terms of transit systems, roads, bridges, all of those things to support it. We're a funny state. We used to have probably the most extensive rail system, subway streetcar system of any community in the country. That was torn out in the 50s and the early 60s, and we became probably the least transit-dependent community of almost any region in this entire country. We're a community where Mom and Pa Ingalls, Mom and Pa Wilder, when they decided that there were 2 or 3 people that had moved into their neighborhood in Wisconsin, drove them in a buggy 200 miles to the west until they hadn't seen anybody for a couple of days and said, no, that feels more like home. So we kind of like our spread out, sense of a place, but people are realizing that's not a particularly sustainable way to do it, both in terms of their own personal cost, but cost to the environment, cost to the social infrastructure of our community. So I think we have to be more flexibility to adapt the pool of resources that we have. I think we do need to add more resources, but I also think we need to be better about how we're spending the existing dollars.